right off the bat, big time. Call of Duty 2020, so next year's Call of Duty, is in upheaval as Treyarch takes over and plans Black Ops 5. This is from Jason Schreier of Kotaku. He's the one that broke this. Next year's Call of Duty has gone through a major upheaval as publisher Activision informed developers this week that studios Raven and Sledgehammer, which had until now led the project, will no longer be in charge. Instead, according to 3 people familiar with ongoings at the companies, Treyarch will now lead the development on a new Black Ops for 2020. It's a significant shift for Activision's massive first-person shooter franchise, which is one of the most lucrative video game series on the planet. Every fall for the past 15 years, Activision has put out a new Call of Duty game, supported by a stable of different developers who rotated duties as required. Since 2012, Activision has followed a 3-year development cycle for its 3 lead studios, Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer Games. For 2020, Activision had originally switched things up, assigning the Wisconsin-based support studio Raven to take a leadership role alongside Sledgehammer to make a Call of Duty game set during the Cold War, likely involving Vietnam. As of very recently, that's changed. Now Treyarch, based in Santa Monica, California, is in charge of leading Call of Duty Black Ops 5 for 2020. According to those briefed on the overhaul, Treyarch will take creative leadership on this new Black Ops, while Raven and Sledgehammer will serve as support studios for the game, transforming the work they've done on their own single-player story mode into a campaign for Black Ops 5, which will also be set during the Cold War. It will likely be a cross-gen game to coincide with the launch of the next PlayStation and Xbox, which are also expected in the fall of 2020. What this means is that rather than getting 3 years to make their next game after Black Ops 4, Treyarch will have just 2. Some at the company say they're not pleased about that and are already bracing for brutal overtime hours like they faced last year on Black Ops 4. Others have told Kotaku they're excited about the change as they've had a solid game plan that isn't likely to change drastically, unlike their last 2 projects. We'll have more to share about Treyarch and the development of Black Ops 4 in the coming weeks. Yeah, I'd like to know a little bit more about the development of Black Ops 4 too, and why Vonderhaar was taking off multiplayer, so maybe they should talk about that. This news comes during a strange time for Activision and Call of Duty. Although Black Ops 4 sold well at first, we've heard that it hasn't quite had the revenue tail that Activision's bean counters were hoping to see. Internally, Activision executives have started to talk about embracing free-to-play as a revenue model, once anathema to the publisher and 3 sources say are looking into offering a free-to-play component for this year's new Modern Warfare, although the specifics may not be finalized yet. Some within Activision have remained resistant to the idea. I mean, that has to be Battle Royale, like what else could possibly be free-to-play? The past year has also been rough for the San Francisco-based Sledgehammer. In February 2018, Kotaku broke the news that Sledgehammer's co-founders, Michael Condrey and Glenn Schofield, had left the studio. Although Activision spun it as a promotion, saying they'd take on new executive duties, it was very clearly an ousting, and the 2 quietly exited shortly afterwards. Earlier this year, Condrey started a new Silicon Valley studio with the publisher 2K, where he's recruited dozens of Sledgehammer staff. The studio has been hemorrhaging employees over the past few months, much to the dismay of those who remain. One primary reason behind this Call of Duty upheaval, according to 2 people familiar with happenings at Activision, is the tension between Sledgehammer and Raven, whose staff are said to have argued frequently during the past year of development on Call of Duty 2020. 2 people familiar with the project described it as a mess. Now both studios will serve as support for Treyarch as the publisher prepares to release Black Ops 5. Activision declined to comment. And then Charlie Intel added a little bit more to this. This will be the first time that Treyarch is making a Call of Duty game in the 2-year development cycle since the release of Black Ops 2 back in 2012. Yes indeed, yes indeed, yes indeed. Since then, Treyarch's Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 have been created in a 3-year development cycle. Sledgehammer Games has been having a rocky time the last year, with co-founders Michael Condrey and Glenn Schofield departing the company in 2018. The new studio leadership is under Aaron Hallen. It was not clear what the studio planned to make after Call of Duty World War II season, with the co-founders departing. Michael Condrey has reportedly been recruiting Sledgehammer Games developers to his new 2K studio, and many developers have been leaving Sledgehammer Games over the past year. Developers still at Sledgehammer have been shocked by the amount of developers leaving. Sledgehammer Games not releasing a fully fledged title for 2020 will be the first time the studio has missed 3-year release since 2014. Sledgehammer Games was founded in 2009 as an Activision-owned studio and started their journey as co-developers of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 back in 2011 with Infinity Ward. After that, Activision transitioned Call of Duty to a 3-year development cycle with Sledgehammer Games, Treyarch, and Infinity Ward as the lead developers, rotating through the cycles. Sledgehammer released Call of Duty Advanced Warfare in 2014 and Call of Duty World War II in 2017. If this is the case, next year we will see a new Call of Duty Black Ops game, marking the 5th title in the sub-series. Activision has not confirmed this info and did not issue a statement. So yeah, next year's Call of Duty was supposed to be co-developed by Raven and Sledgehammer, and it sounds like Raven was taking, most of the development and Sledgehammer was helping them out. And a lot of us think Raven deserves to have their own title in the Call of Duty franchise because they've been supporting and helping these studios for quite some years. So it's like, maybe give them a shot so they can make their own Call of Duty, right? Well, it sounds like that's what they were trying to do, but Sledgehammer and them don't seem to be getting along very well. And now Treyarch has to step in and be like, I guess we're in control. Now, Jason has been a really good source on things. Like, usually a lot of the things he says turn out to be true. And he flat out said in that Kotaku article, Black Ops 5. And I don't think he would just say that if he didn't have it on very good authority that it was anything other than Black Ops 5. Now, I think that seems kind of quick because he said that the studios just found out about this past week. So they've just found out about it and they've already decided, yeah, it's Black Ops 5. It seems a little quick, but I mean, if he's saying it, then I feel like there has to be some truth to it. Also, we already know more about next year's Call of Duty than this year's. We know it's going to be apparently Black Ops 5. It's going to be set during the Cold War with parts of Vietnam in it. The good thing about that is Black Ops 1 is the closest to that time frame, and that means no specialists, which is thank you. Also, in my opinion, Treyarch works the best when they're under pressure on a 2-year development cycle. We had World at War. Then we had Black Ops 1. Then we had Black Ops 2. Whoo-wee. I think Infinity Ward does as well, because then we had Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3. I think they work better on a 2-year cycle. I was never a fan of the 3-year cycle. I know it helps them out, takes stress off them. I get that, but I mean, Black Ops 2 is my favorite Call of Duty multiplayer-wise, so that's why I'm when they mentioned that the last game Treyarch made on a 2-year cycle was Black Ops 2, I was like, if you could just replicate that, we're going to be good. The other thing to think about is, does it really need to be Black Ops 5? I know they said they already have the story worked on and all that for next year's Call of Duty, but next year is also the 10-year anniversary of Black Ops 1, and I feel like it deserves a remaster. I feel like Black Ops 2 deserves a remaster as well. What if they just remastered Black Ops 1 and 2 and bundled them together and released it? A bundle of Black Ops 1 and 2 remastered would sell more copies than Black Ops 5. It just would. And if Activision is so greedy, like people say they are, then surely this should be an option. But apparently it's Black Ops 5, so I don't know. Another question I have is Sledgehammer Games going to get axed? Are they just going to be done with Call of Duty now? Is Activision going to take them off? Say, hey, we're going to move you to this other game, or we're going to have you make your own IP. Are they done? I'm not saying get axed they shut the studio down and a bunch of people lose their jobs. I don't want that to happen. That's not cool. I'm just saying getting axed from Call of Duty. But then again, Activision did fire all those people earlier this year, so it's not entirely out of question. What is the future now? Because, okay, we have Infinity Ward this year. We have Treyarch again next year. So does that mean Infinity Ward is back in 2021? And are we just back on a 2-year cycle, or are we going to switch back to 3-year? Does Raven and Sledgehammer get another chance in 2021? What is the future of Call of Duty right now? And the thing about Sledgehammer is I'm pretty sure right before they started working on World War II, I think they moved into a new studio, a bigger one. And everything seemed to be going good. They had their new logo, they were rebranded. They're ready for this big new future. And now everyone's leaving. Their studio's in shambles. They're fighting with Raven. And now they're support instead of a lead developer. It just doesn't look good. The future of Sledgehammer Games looks grim. And I personally don't think Sledgehammer will be the lead developer on a Call of Duty ever again. I think World War II was it. Advanced Warfare sucked. World War II sucked. The gameplay sucked. The map sucked. The games were just not good. Sledgehammer was never good at making Call of Duty. And now with all this happening, I don't see Activision putting them back in the lead developer role again. Either they're going to stay support like they were with Modern Warfare 3, or they get put on a different game, or they get shut down, which again I hope does not happen. And if Treyarch and all of them just found out about this past week, then what does that mean for Black Ops 4? Like, all of a sudden they just got this new game thrown in their lap, and it's like they got to start working on that. So I think updates for Black Ops 4 are going to be pretty lackluster, you know? Like, surely they have their Days of Summer thing already, like, planned out. It's done. It's good to go. They're ready for that. But after that, you're probably not going to see much support for Black Ops 4 now, because they got to put all hands on deck for this new game because Raven and Sledgehammer can't get along with each other. So my guess for the future of this franchise is Infinity Ward this year, which we already know. Treyarch next year, which we already know. But in 2021, I think Activision will give all their trust into Raven Software to make their own game. And then Raven will be put into the fold. We go back on a 3-year dev cycle, and that's that. Infinity Ward, Treyarch, Raven. And then either Sledgehammer support or something else happens to them. The biggest thing about all this, in my opinion, though, is the fact that there ain't going to be no specialists in next year's Call of Duty. I say that now, and then there's probably going to be specialists, but please. Worst thing to happen to Call of Duty are specialists. Treyarch, stop. And put Von Hart back in charge of multiplayer, you dweebs.